And welcome back to part 30 of Dragonstar VARNIR, where today we've got two optional bosses that we'll be taking on, and a final catch-up on a plot thread that's been long since abandoned. Oh, I think it's a dead end. Yeah, this is as far as it goes. Oh, Zephy, over there! There's something on the table. Table? Oh, the altar, let's check it out. It looks like a really old book. P.O. would be happy. Have I seen this book before? Oh, it's got the same design as that book in the North Star Temple. Right, the one that was too messed up to read. You have an incredible memory, Lapinette. Zephy, may I see that book? Yeah, of course. Yeah, the very first Star Temple we uncovered a book, if you may recall at all. VARNIR, the Dragon of Origin, the beginning of all. The Holy Dragon, wielder of this very land, gave us life. We are to worship the witches who will take upon the next star. Whoa, this book is nowhere near as messed up as the other one. Read more, Lapo, hurry! Okay. Well, I'll have to wait by the sounds of it. There's a dragon coming. Ah, there's Aura. Yeah. Ah! Whoa, Zephy, do something! That dragon, it's way too big. It's way more intense than it looks. I can tell it's very powerful. This is nothing like the dragons we've faced before. The magic is so powerful, it's just radiating from its body. I guess some dragons have been down here just devouring one another. Because of that, it's even more evil. We're able to defeat VARNIR, so I'm sure we'll be able to take care of this one too. Let's work together and do this. Follow me. And I have been told, from trustworthy sources, that this boss is a reference to JoJo. I have been told on good authority because its name is Dio. Dio here is the first of two significant super bosses in this game, and is the easy of the two, which is why obviously we're going for it first. And I think you can't actually go for the other one until Dio's down. But we will be taking them both out. Dio, being an optional boss in any kind of turn-based JRPG, hits like a damn truck, is max level, and is an insane work to get through. However, like a lot of things in this game, if you've got an attack crush and some kind of soul boost, like some kind of stat boost for you and some attacking nerfs on them, you will find yourself getting kind of comfortable in this fight. Especially if you've been devouring dragons, because between finishing the main adventure and starting the post game, I did grind out the dragons that I had missed in those last two dungeons to get everyone caught up. So our main three are as powerful as they're ever gonna be. For their level, I mean. They're not anywhere near close to max level. Which I'd rather it be that way. I don't want it to be over leveled. But the stat boosts from the dragons we've devoured are gonna make the difference and make us more powerful than we probably should be. But Dio does have Miasma Gas, which lowers all stats, which is probably the only real deal breaker with my strategy of just lower its stats, boost yours, because it can counter it. And the way the stat boosting and nerfs work is that both are in effect at the same time. So if you've got like a 30% attack boost, but you get hit with a 40% attack nerf, you're just on a 10% attack nerf. It will just do the maths and balance it out like that. You will still technically have both active. So even though it's hitting us with these miasma gases and nerfing, Zephy can't get nerfed any further than he currently is. But that buff is at least doing a little bit against it, even if not much. And here I make a critical mistake of only putting relief on Manessa and then it targeting Manessa constantly. Which sucks, because then when she goes down I have to use items to get her back up. Which is the last thing you want. Don't get confused, it does have another attack called Miasma Breath, which is just an attacking row-wide attack. To be honest, all of its attacks are kind of threatening, but none of them ever go to the point where I feel like they are tremendous efforts. Like, it's the hardest thing you're likely to fight, ignoring the other super boss, but at the same time, I know I'm kind of repeating myself with like every difficult encounter. Once you get a strategy going, it's not that bad. The biggest tool you have at your disposal is just buff yourself and nerf it to try and balance out the fact it's going to be trying to nerf you. And also take out the middle of its layer, because it's a 3-tier boss, as soon as possible, just to get rid of Death Invitation, because it's an instant kill if it connects. And having to just deal with instant kills is never welcomed in any JRPG. If you can get rid of it and stop the enemy using it in any sense, it should be top priority. But the main... I say main meat, this fight's longer, I think, than the other super boss we'll be fighting. The other super boss actually goes by relatively quickly in comparison. But the other one is far harder. It is far, far harder. You have to be really on top of healing on the other one. If someone's not at full health, you need to top them up, and that's just the bottom line. If you haven't been using buffs and debuffs like during this adventure, you might be able to pull your way through this fight, but you will not stand a chance in the next one. It is the hardest fight in the game. And one day I'm kind of curious. At some point I want to go through this game on its hardest difficulty. They had an extra difficulty added beyond hard as free DLC post-launch. And I've always been kind of curious what these post-game super bosses would be like on that difficulty. But if I was going to do it, I'd do a full gameplay through, but I'm not brave enough to do that. But as I've said, when I eventually do the Madness run, I'll do it on hard, just to make it a bit more spicy. Since I'll have the time to take dungeons slower anyway, since we'll be killing the kids. So we'll be at a higher level as we go through it anyway, so I might as well up the challenge just to see where it ends up with us. And because I've heard that this game's hard mode is actually respectably tough. Like, it's not insane and like OP as hell. Like, it's not a Shin Megami Tensei game, but it is respectably difficult. It will catch you out if you're not prepared. Same with its DLC hardest, which is just even more so. But that being said, even though I compare this, like I compare difficulty when I'm going to JRPGs almost instantly to Shin Megami Tensei, I have nothing against the difficulty of Shin Megami Tensei. I genuinely don't. It's extremely brutal, it's an uphill battle to get through anything on it, but it's satisfying as hell. All the Shin Megami Tensei games I've played through have been extremely satisfying to beat, and it's why I'm super excited for the Nocturne remaster early next year, because it will be going on the list. I'm telling you now, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne will be getting a Let's Play. I don't know if it will be as soon as it comes out, it depends how brave I'm feeling, because there's a part of me, because of how tough the game is, there's a part of me that knows I should be practicing it before I get into it, so I should really like be firing up my PS2 again and playing the original just to get some practice in. But there's also a part of me that the most fun I have playing a Shin Megami Tensei game is when I haven't practiced. Because weird things just happen and I kind of fall into things as I go. So there's another part of me that's like, actually don't deliberately leave it just because it might make the run a bit more spicy, even if it makes it a bit longer, because I end up tanking more game overs. But I will really see. I've got until like, you don't actually have a Western release date, but I'm going to assume like March or April time, because that seems to be the pattern of how they handle their releases, especially if it's coming out in Japan in October, I think it was. And so following Atlus's usual track record, it makes sense. Around March, April time will probably be out in the West. And I hope that later on it encourages them to remaster more PS2 classics onto modern platforms, because Digital Devil Saga is equally really fun. Although I prefer Shin Megami Tensei, like the main line as a whole, I had a lot of fun with DDS. I say that, I haven't played DDS 2 yet, but I'll get around to it. The Raido games, I don't think anyone would turn down a remaster of them, especially because I don't think Raido 2 ever came out in the West. So the idea of actually giving us Raido would be nice. I'm avoiding the obvious one because I know there's going to be people that'll watch this and be like, what about Persona? I love the Persona series, but it's doing fine. It doesn't need the remasters right now. Whilst mainline SMT has so much going for it, yet it's just been kind of put to the wayside for a long time. And so having that get some spotlight, I welcome that. I'd welcome that over a Persona 3 remaster any day, and I'm glad it's happening. And besides, let's be honest, with how successful Persona 4 Golden's PC port is, there's definitely more Persona ports coming to Steam. Let's not kid ourselves. Persona 3 is going to be on Steam before you know it. Persona 5 will probably be on Steam before you know it. Like, it's going to happen. And I can imagine, like, if the interest continues, they'll start porting. They'll probably put the Nocturne HD remaster on the PC as well, which I think if they do that, the floodgates will really open. Because one of my favourite things about playing Nocturne nowadays is the PS2 emulation that you can do on PC and the mods, because I've played hard type, didn't get far. I really didn't get far. I got as far as Dante, and Dante was just too much because he's an asshole who gets critical hits on every single hit, it feels like. Especially on the hard type mod, he just always gets crits, and because crits give you extra turns, he just wrecks all of you. He's a nightmare. But I had fun trying it. I managed to beat Matador, and that was enough for me. And that's probably the other reason why I look forward to it, because I love playing turn-based JRPGs. If you've been with this channel long enough, you know that for a fact. But I haven't really played any that have been super tough on the channel, which is odd for me because I've lived most of my life playing really hard JRPGs. I've spoken about it before. One of my favourite Final Fantasies is Final Fantasy V, which I know is an odd choice for some, but I love its challenge. I love the fact that you have to think about every single choice you make to get through the fight. But if you play your cards right, by endgame you can be so insanely powerful and broken, it's on a whole other level, making the turnaround from everything's near impossible to becoming godlike really satisfying. This game can be respectably tough, but I've just been preparing myself at every step of the way so you don't really notice it. Oh, it's nearly dead. I was hoping that would kill it, which is why I just kind of pushed for it, but no, Charlotta gets the kill. You know, Zephy's girlfriend, because it's canon as far as I care. You also get 300 odd thousand experience to this, plus an extra bonus if you have certain equipment pieces on, which is what I do. So, added on top of the double experience, yeah, everyone's close to level 70 now. Which is actually pretty underleveled for the other super boss. When you keep in mind on my blind playthrough, I was level 85 and still losing to the bloody thing. But I'll get to that in a minute. We got more cutscenes. Oh, Vanessa, Zephy, you are so cool. I want to be that so strong so I can beat Zephy up someday. Make Zephy a super boss in the next game. Hey Zephy, may I see that book? Yeah, sure, here. There's something inside. Is this a letter? This writing. What is it? This is Gran's. Gran. Wasn't that your friend, Zephy? The one from the Knights of Requiem? Yeah. That means that brooch from earlier could have been his. There was nothing else on the floor. There's a chance he's still alive. Why don't you read the letter? She sounds so much more optimistic than she used to be. Well, I'm so glad. Zephy, are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Gran found this star temple and discovered the truth about the world after reading the book. According to his letter, they held the Emperor's funeral. Oh, what was Gran's voice again? It's been so long. After the funeral, a new creed was issued. The people thought the end of the witch hunt was temporary, but then came the creed. We assumed that creed was issued because those in charge at the Empire discovered their faith was built upon lies. The truth was, of course, hidden from civilians and surprisingly the Knights as well. Information slowly started to get out though. Many Knights weren't really sure what to do after that and ultimately left the Knights of Requiem altogether. The civilians were skeptical about the end of the witch hunts, and some became vigilantes. Who knows what will happen next? Personally, I still can't fully believe what's written here in this book. Maybe in a few years, no, longer than that, but no matter what, I want to know the truth. I still want to maintain peace in Varniria. And lastly, Zephy, my friend, I hope that you come across this star temple someday and have the good fortune of reading this. Someday, when the world has found its balance once again, when it returns to the way it should have always been, I hope we can pick up our friendship right where we left it off. You don't even get to see Gran again, you just get that as his last tidbit. That's so beautiful, isn't it, Zephy? Zephy, your friend is so honest, it's wonderful. He's a lot like Zephy, isn't he? Yes, I thought the same thing. Look, Fairy is so moved she's crying. I am not! I'm just happy because Zephy is! Thanks, everyone. When peace comes back into this world, I think we should all take the day and go shopping. That would be lovely. I hope that day comes soon. Yeah, wow, this is pretty good news. I think we should celebrate tonight with a feast. Yay! Yay! I'm so happy. Shikita's gone again. Oh, she's doing something in the corner. Shikita, come back. We're going to go home. You can't explore out here on your own. I know, but I found something amazing! Look, the shadow of the ladder. What about it? There's a hole in the wall. Do you think it occurred naturally, or... A dragon went through there. No wonder there are so many in this star temple. It must have come in from there. That's probably how Gran got in too. The brooch he dropped, a dragon must have found it and brought it there. I didn't say this before, but I definitely thought the knight who wandered in here got eaten by a dragon. You know, I had the same thoughts. I'm just thankful we were wrong. In any case, I think we can exit from there. All this exploring has me tired out. Carry me, Zeffie. Monet wants to hold Zeffie's hand. Hey, when are you girls going to grow up? You have to be big sisters someday. Let's hurry home, everyone. I'm hungry. Hey, don't run like that. You'll trip. Okay. Having the little sisters around really makes exploring the Star Temple so lively. I feel way more tired than usual. You must have been looking after your little sisters pretty well. I think that means you're doing a fine job as an older sister. Really? I worked pretty hard today. I think this causes some of Karikara's cooking. It's been a while. Oh, definitely. I have had a few new recipes, so I hope you like them. If Gran went that way, I assume it's safe. But let me take the lead, just in case. And Chiquita, thank you. Huh? I don't know why you're thanking me, but you can bear to do it more often. Cheeky git. Thanks to Chiquita that I was able to find this place and learn about what happened to Gran after everything. Gran, I hope we meet again soon, this time in the peaceful world you always wanted. And that's the last cutscene of any kind you get in this game, wrapping up Gran's event. It's a sweet enough cutscene, I enjoy it for what it is. There's still one last thing left to do in this adventure before we are effectively done. There is a locked door in this final Star Temple that once Dio has been defeated, you can gain access to. So make sure you're very much prepared, because this is the hardest fight in the game, despite its looks. And despite its name, because this thing's called Kaylee, for goodness sake. And when you're ready, give it your all, and meet Kaylee.
My turn.
This guy will end you in one turn flat if you do not buff your defenses and lower its attack now, especially at the level we are at. If it can two-shot you when you're at level 85, it will absolutely wipe the floor of you at level 70. You need to be buffing everyone and keep on top of it as soon as possible. Also note that there's technically two phases to this fight. When it's nearly dead, it will use a healing spell that will guarantee fully heal it back up to full health again. Meaning you're doing its whole health bar twice to finish this fight. It doesn't have as much as Dio, but keep in mind how much buff we had, and that hit everyone because Death-Nado hits everyone regardless, and it did over 1,500 damage, and then hit Charlotta again for nearly 2,000, and then hit her again for nearly 1,000, and now she's nearly dead. If we weren't buffed, Charlotta was dead. That was the end of it. Death-Nado would have put everyone below half, and everything after would have just finished Charlotta. In fact, the second attack would have finished her, the third attack would have just been aimed at someone else and probably finished them off too, leaving it to only a one-person team left.
My turn.
And that's not me exaggerating. I've had practice runs on this fight that have ended exactly like that. Which is why I am stressing it to you. If you do not have buffs and you do not have everyone at full health, you are taking extremely unnecessary risks and you will suffer for it. In the top right, I know I've pretty much never mentioned it because I kind of mentioned it in the first part and never again, but it does keep track of turn order and it will tell you what skills will put you where in the turn order. You're going to be paying attention to that probably the most often in this fight, because if you can get in 4 turns, that if you squeeze in a heal early or something, take it. Like now, I can squeeze in an early heal, but because it doesn't add much to the wait time, Manessa will still get to squeeze in a second turn before it's over.
My turn.
Which I then use to heal up again, because the extra wait time will mean she'll get to go first on next turn, and I can for now maintain Manessa getting 2 turns. Things like that are things you will need to be considering during this fight to stay on top of it. You need to be micromanaging where you are on the wait time and grid to see when your turn's going to next be. If you're going to put yourself in a position where people haven't been healed and Kaylee's turn is coming up sooner rather than later, you're going to end up in situations like this where it's just wiped nearly 2 members of the party.
Let's go.
And it's only because we have full revive on us to save us that it pulls us through. Additionally, you cannot devour this thing. It will always say 0% even when it's like on no health. So don't bother trying, you won't ever win. Having Aura is probably a very good thing to have as well, because of the bonus of being 150% all stats. It's just remembering to keep on top of it because it only lasts 3 turns, and you don't want to forget and then Kaylee hits you with Death-Nado and things like that, and you just get thrown away because you just lost that buff and didn't realise that that was the tender moment. Additionally, it's weak to fire, so Manessa's kind of at a disadvantage here, being water focused. But we've got Charlotta at least to kind of balance it out, I suppose. And if you're wondering, well, hang on a minute, Rob, this is the very last challenge in any sense of the game, and you still haven't shown off Lapanet, Karikaro beyond, you know, the opening, and Feria in gameplay. When's that? It is coming. There's going to be one more video after this of me wrapping up every last detail that I've missed and showing off those Freeze move sets, their ultimates, is going to be in there. The next video is going to be extremely short, like I doubt it'll make 15 minutes because it's literally just the last few gasps, because this game, like I said, didn't get any proper DLC outside of an extra difficulty and boosting the level cap, which is only really worth something if you're planning to do New Game Plus cycles, which you can do, but it feels a lot less worth it in this because there aren't any post-game dungeons. Like say in Net, for example, you do New Game Plus loops because there's dungeons in that game that are like level 300 and level 600, level 900. So you do the New Game Plus loops because it ups the general difficulty of all enemies, so you get more money and experience for them to buff you up to a reasonable level that after a few cycles you're strong enough to do those extra dungeons. So it feels more worth doing. Whilst in this, it's just you go into New Game Plus, everything's just got slightly raised stats. So it's like a Dark Souls cycle. And it's the same reason why I never really cared for it in things like Dark Souls. Like, I usually just do my main playthrough. If I'm going to go through it again, I'll just go through it fresh. This thing was worth Death Invitation, so you know, you had enough trouble. Now you got to deal with the fact it's got an instant kill at its disposal. So I actually had a failed attempt where I didn't get my buffs off. The first turn it used Death Nado, hit everyone, put everyone below half. The second turn it used Hell Breath, and I had two people on one row and it killed both of them, and then it used Death Invitation and instant killed the last, and it was over the very first turn. And the only reason that happened is because I got unlucky with the turn order and only one member of my party had an action before Kaylee did. Which can just happen. Sometimes you just get unlucky on the starting turn order and for some reason Kaylee's is bumped up. Despite the fact I think its speed's not that high. I say I think because I'm not actually too sure, but it's not that high. Like there isn't any real assess mode and system in this game for you to monitor anything like that. You can't actually look at their full stat list until after you've beat them, and I forgot to check after I beat them, so you know. But as you can see, it's like, oh wow, this fight's going pretty well, it's nearly dead. We're making good progress. Well, we're not in phase 2 yet. At some point very soon, it's going to heal and get back all 200,000, I think, health. Like, once you cross a certain threshold, it will just heal everything off. Which I think is coming up. It might be next turn. Yeah, here it is, max healing. And it gets all 121,459 HP back. And you see last time, it's like, ah! So I just hate that attack. I know it's scripted, so it's easier to manage. It's less of it healing itself, more that it's just going into phase 2, and now it's going to be just that little bit more aggressive. Same moveset, it doesn't get any new attacks. It's just more aggressive how it handles it. But it's just the fact that it does it anyway, and all your hard work just gets mitigated, and you have to do it all again. And on your first playthrough, you don't know if that's scripted or not, so you're going to end up being paranoid, and when you start getting it low, you're going to give it absolutely everything in the vain hope that you can get rid of it. But that is the only time, as far as I'm aware, that it does it. Maybe it does it more times on harder difficulties. I hope not, but it might do. Actually, I say that, so from the next playthrough, it'll be the Madness ending. You don't get a post-game with any ending other than on the true ending. You just go straight into New Game Plus, so... yeah, we won't see Kaylee ever again. We won't see Dio again either, or this temple. When we do the Madness run, it'll only go as far as the Star's Womb again. Assuming we even get let in. We might be too crazy. Charlotta might say, nah, but nah, man, you're all cuckoo. It's not worth it. Having the assists come in to save your net can be great. One of the bosses that you fight in the game, so you can have it, gives every member of the party a background buff that you can equip to them. That sole purpose is to make their assists kick in more often if they're someone's assist. There's one for blocking, one for joining in on attacks, and one's for counter-attacking if you're hit. You can get all three of them and equip them on someone. So all three of our assists, so Karikaro, Lapanet, and Feria, all have a boosted chance of defending us, countering, or just joining in on physical attacks. Which is why they show up a lot more often. And why they used to never show up. And it was like around Forest of Death they started showing up a bit more often. but it's an assist that you kind of want on your whole party when you know what team's going to be your background team kind of thing. But as you can see, because I've been playing super aggressive now on this run, it's already like over halfway down again, which is why I said I think Dio is the longest fight. I'm not actually sure now looking at my recording. But both fights are brutal, but once you start getting progress on this, you can start to feel it. It's just keeping on top of healing and keeping on top of turn order. If you lose track of your turn order or don't pay attention to it, the Kaylee might get in a turn you're not prepared for and you won't be able to do anything for it. This isn't a Bravely game and it's not an Altair game. You can't just do a hard quick action and save your neck.
Let's go.
Which is something I'd love for them to add in a sequel. Just experiment a bit more in the sequel, because it's like the first Idea Factory game where you can't move around freely on a field. You instead move on layers, which is perfectly fine. It's unique and different for their usual style. When you keep in mind everything else they've done is always move around environments like NEP and Death End. But it's nice to have something a bit different. But if they want to expand on it in the sequel, make something like Dragon Instinct, that's what you'd call it, where if you have like, I don't know, full meter, or only if you're in your dragon form, make that the trade-off. You hit with a trigger or something and it will freeze time for a character in their dragon mode, and you can do a last second save your neck action. Yeah, you'd have to balance it out by making the game as a whole a little tougher to make you want to use it, but it would be cool to just have that hang on a sec kind of strategy making. I loved it in the Bravely games, and I'm enjoying it in Atelier Ryza. Even if in Atelier Ryza it's a little bit more weird, because it's more that you have action points and every skill requires action points, but to go to quick action it stacks on 10 to everything. So it's just, you sometimes like you really need to use something and you'll go to it, it's like, well actually your action points aren't enough now, and you're like,
My turn.
But I get that's just their way of trying to balance it, because that game's a lot more free, I think is the best way to put it, with its combat, so you can mess around with it a lot more. The only struggle I have with Atelier Ryza's combat is the one brain cell thing going on, where you only control one party member at a time, but whatever enemy you're targeting, your teammates will always target regardless of whatever's going on. They won't target an enemy that they have the weakness of. They will only use special skills on magic if you tap up on the D-pad to make them more aggressive. Like, it's literally you control the whole party in one. It's a shared brain cell thing, and it's alright, but it gets a little tiring. But we managed to take down the ultimate super boss called Kaylee, and your reward is a bunch of passives. Your reward isn't much, and I get it, because it's like, You also get Rampage Fruit, to be fair, which makes it so your chance of going to your Berserk form is increased by 100%, which is insane. It makes it so you're guaranteed every dragon form to be in the Berserk form, which, if you're going into New Game Plus and plan on covering other endings, what's stopping you now? Go into New Game Plus and equip that. It's there because now you've completed every challenge of the game. Like with the same deal with Death End 1, they want to give you something worthwhile that makes you feel super powerful. The Berserk form is a far more powerful state than just the dragon form. So having the ability to make it so you get Berserk form every single time is a worthy upgrade. Problem is, just like in Death End, you get it for conquering already the hardest challenge in the game, so you've got no reason to use it on anything. Also, we got the Dragon Stars proof, which is amazing, as you can see. It increases overall endurance by 10% and boosts everything by a large number. It's amazing.
Let's go.
But that's it. That's it for the combat of Dragon Star VARNIR, and we are pretty much done. All we got was clean up, and then that's it. So next time on Dragon Star VARNIR, we'll be cleaning up the last few things I've yet to cover, and wrapping this up. It's been a really fun adventure, and it's kind of unfortunate that it's ending so soon. But anyway, until then, you guys take care now.